How you doing, guys? Tomato sauce in here. It's been a very, very long time, and I just want to tell you, I'm messing around on the beta, and I gotta say, once again, Blizzard is hitting the mark with Assassination Rogue. What I want to do for you guys today is take you through a spec that I've been messing around with in PvP. I think it's quite familiar to what we're using in retail on the class side, but yeah, or excuse me, on the spec side. But on the class tree, there's been some changes. So I want to get into what talents I'm using. I want to show you some, rotation, and I want to go over the Fatebound tree because I think it synergizes with Assassination Rogue incredibly. It just does a ton of damage. And overall, it just works much better than Deathstalker, where Deathstalker requires you to ambush from stealth. And there's, few and far between times that I'm ambushing stealth. First, let's go into the brand new class tree. As you can see, Rogue no longer has Dance, but they do have this awesome wing that gives you the ability to get healed, right? For 15% of your health over 6 seconds after vanishing or shadow dance. Now, you're obviously only going to get this for vanishing. Then you have Subterfuge. Subterfuge is now a 2-point combo, or a 2 talent point ability, where abilities and combat benefits requiring stealth remain active for 6 seconds after stealth breaks, which is huge because 3-second Subterfuge really lended itself to being broken up. But 6 seconds, you can still get an opener out. Get a couple empowered Garrotes out and keep that damage really rolling heavy. On top of that, if they don't feel you, get cheap Jots with, a much larger window of time, right? Literally times the amount of time being in Subterfuge on the beta than you have in retail. And this is the new Keystone ability, Without a Trace. I think this is absolutely awesome. Vanish has 1 additional charge, so you're losing the Shadow Dance, but now you have Vanish. And personally, Vanish with 6 seconds of Subterfuge, to me, is just much better than having Dance. On-demand 1-minute Dance. I like the ability to have an extra charge of Vanish. It's picking on that 2-minute down, but it just feels like it's up very often. And then when you couple that with your Shadow Meld stealth, you're really putting some big damage out as Assassination. Class tree, you could go. So you have really a choice to make. I don't like going down this middle node, especially since Acrobatic Strikes is now just auto attack speed, and auto attack damage, where you can get up to 10%, but I don't know. I just don't think it's worth going down this node for Echoing Reprimand. I've never liked the way Echoing Reprimand is played, so I think the real choice here, I think you're auto-locking without a trace node or path, and the Thistle T path, because again, we're Assassination. Energy and Mastery are absolutely all of our goes. Vigor is massive to have as an Assassination. Leeching Poison is pretty awesome. This choice node is quite good. Increase the critical strike chance of your attacks that generate combo points, or increase the damage of your weapon point 10%. So I just think this path and this path are auto locks, and then your choice node is you want to run a Cold Blood build, where you could be essentially ensuring that 2 of your Envenoms in a row are critical strikes. Or do you want to run deeper strat just to have more damage on your Crimson Tempest, more damage on your Rupture, more damage on your Envenom, and a longer duration Kidney Shot? I think deeper strat is the way to go. Plus, you get some hate, which is potentially nice for your shots. Let's take a look at this Fatebound tree and figure out why I went Fatebound over Deathstalker. So you have Hand of Fate. Flip a Fatebound coin each time. A finishing move consumes 5 or more combo points. So again, we're running deeper strat with this build. So you're giving yourself an additional Fatebound coin flip. Heads increases the damage of your attacks by 10%, lasting 15 seconds, or until you flip tails. Tails deals almost 200,000 cosmic damage to your target. Each time the same face is flipped in a row. Heads increases damage by an additional 2%, and tails increases its damage by 10%. So that's huge. It does a lot of damage. Let me just show you. Well, it is a bit RNG. Let me find one that, yeah, so, I mean, Fatebound coin here did 8.3% of my damage. And if we go into Enigma Crucible, again, 7.9%. And if you get some real RNG, right, you can do, I mean, my biggest game was 14% of my damage. This was essentially an opener game where I just absolutely blasted and deleted somebody. Queued into these guys a lot last night on the beta. Felt kind of bad for it because it's just a farming sesh. Yeah, Sin Rogue into casters is pretty good with subterfuge. So yeah, I just wanted to show off what this Fatebound coin can do. Now, let's go through the choice node here. You can have a leech increased or chance equal to your critical strike chance to absorb 10% of any damage taken, up to a maximum of 40%. This is what I was playing as more of a, I mean, they're both passive options. Maybe the leech will be even better. You know, we'll have to test around on that. Fatebound coins flipped by Envenom multiple times in a row are 33% more likely to match the same face as the last flip. So, you know, again, the way Sin is playing, it wants you to cast Envenoms, right? It doesn't want you to just be a pure bleed class. Although I'm still speccing pure bleeds, and Venom is you know, hitting for like 850k in gear. So, and I think there's other ways to even make it better. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely casting Envenom with playing Fatebound. You cannot be slowed below 70% of your normal movement speed, while your Fatebound coin flips have an active streak of at least 2 flips matching the same face. This seems to happen pretty often, so I like that. Although two shadow steps could also be pretty huge, especially since you have, right, 2 charges of shadow step here. I went for not being slowed because I get pretty ticked off on the slow, but I think I could see using this in a lot of comps, especially double caster comps. Mutilate, Ambush, Fan, and Knives generate 1 additional combo point when they trigger Seal Fate, which is pretty nice, you know, for Sin Rogue, who is playing a lot of Fan of Knives spam. You know, you're just ensuring that you get to max combo points much quicker. Activating Deathmark causes your next Fatebound coin flip to land on its edge, counting as both heads and tails, so that's pretty huge. Fate Intertwine duplicates 30% of Envenom critical strike damage as Cosmic to 2 additional nearby enemies. If there's no additional nearby targets, you're going to hit the primary target instead. Again, showing why, you know, it's nice to pump out Envenoms once you have all your bleeds up on a target. Damage dealt when your Fatebound coin flips tails is increased by 30%. There's no other enemies near the target. This has potential to hit very hard. Another choice node, you can either play Cold Blood, and you know, then Cold Blood will only affect your Envenoms, but it'll hit 2 Envenoms in a row, which is quite nice. Or Weapon Poisons have 5% increased application chance, and your Fatebound coins flipped have an additional 5% chance to match the same face as the last flip. You know, I'm playing this right now because, again, you've seen when you match that same face, you know, you can do some pretty crazy damage with the Tails version of this, and then all of your ability damage is buffed, you know, more and more, which is big. Double Jeopardy, your first Fatebound coin flip after breaking stealth flips 2 coins that are guaranteed to match the same face, which is nice. Super nice. Synergizes hugely with that Assassination Rogue's opener. Fateful Ending, when your Fatebound coin flips the same face for the 7th time in a row, you keep the lucky coin to gain 7% agility until you leave combat for 10 seconds, which means in PvP, you're probably not leaving combat unless you're trying a hard reset. And you're not going to leave combat usually for more than 10 seconds. So pretty big there. If you already have a lucky coin, it will instead deal almost 400,000 cosmic damage to your targets. Fatebound is a pretty massive node, right? PV, whatever we want to call these. Um, Deathstalker, I think, could have been good um, if Deathstalker's mark was applied with Garrote and not ambush or mutilate from stealth. Um, I just think they missed the mark on Deathstalker's mark, and it's kind of unfortunate because bait and switch seems like a really interesting node to take for PvP. Um, but I just don't think this is it. I think Fatebound is the absolute for Assassination Rogue. And I hit 2,400 on Assassination last season. Played a bunch of Legend games until I quit. Probably should have finished that out. PvP talents, I've been playing Control as King, Hemotoxin, and Smoke Bomb. This is more of a choice node. You could play Thick as Thieves if you're going to play Tricks. Buff your boy's damage by 15% on an opener. Dismantle into certain comps. And even System Shock. Pretty interesting with Envenom because you're going to reduce the target's movement by 90% for 2 seconds and do a little extra nature damage to them on your end. I could see System Shock getting some use with how much more we're going to be leveraging Venom. But again, Control as King is pretty nice as well. Because, Cheap Shot is going to grant you Slice and Dice, and then Kidney Shot's going to restore energy per combo point. So it's just going to allow you to keep slamming there. I personally like Control as King. But, Veil of Midnight is also huge. Certain comps that's removed. Like big bleed effects on you. You're going to play this into other Assassination Rogues. Fury Warriors. Any warrior that's going to leverage thoughts on you is pretty big. Feral Druids. Veil of Midnight. Feral Druid as well. So there's some very, very good choice nodes here. I feel like Smoke Bomb and Hemo are always going to be your lock-ins because there's so much you can do with a properly placed Smoke Bomb once you have trinkets. You can really shake up the game and close a game out in a Smoke Bomb if done right. Hemotoxin, obviously, Shiv is going to reduce the target's healing received by 30% seconds. Then here's your choice node. Now looking at the class tree, this is exactly actually what I'm playing in retail today, which is pretty cool. I really like this build with Crimson Tempest and the AoE focus. It does massive damage into melee cleaves, and it's actually still pretty good into caster cleaves. Kingsbane is the only button here that I'm not completely sold on. I could be sold on taking 1 out of 2 into Poison Bomb. Kingsbane just isn't what it was in retail. It doesn't feel that good. It does a lot of damage on a dummy, but I feel like it's very easily countered right now. At least going into Evoker Healer. When we were going through my breakdowns, few games where you saw Kingsbane doing. It does have the ability to do pretty good. So, I'll just go through an opener here. Whoops. Whoopsie. Great combat. And I'm going to usually Garrote into a Cheap Shot, into Deathmark, and just send it, right? So Garrote, Cheap Shot, Deathmark, Shiv, Kingsbane, Rupture, Mutilate, and Venom. There's some big damn there. It could be better. You can just vanish, re-Garrote there. Keep the juice flowing. Throw up this bleed. So you can see here, Kingsbane and Fatebound coin tails actually blasted. So we, hitting many heads is what it looks like. Keeping up our coin streaks alive, vanishing in an opener. This wasn't huge damage. The biggest damage I've seen on an opener is, I've hit 1 million damage. But, at the same time, it's, again, just messing around on a dummy. But just wanted to show you, Fatebound coin can become a very large portion of your damage. Obviously, Garrote is going to be our biggest damage ability. Kingsbane, again, does well on the dummy, but I notice it does not do as well in PvP. Maybe there's a PvP modifier on it. I'd probably still keep it just to grab cooldowns on your 1 minute goes. you know, or you could try to spruce up Envenom by taking Poison Bomb there. But you can see, right, Envenom is hitting for 590,000 here. The highest Envenom I had in an arena so far was 850,000. So there are some very big Envenoms in the chamber. Um, you know, with the right Fatebound coin buffs and the right procs on your weapons and all that good stuff. You know, even Shiv is hitting pretty hard, critting at 450k. But yeah, Deathmark is not as huge as it was to me. You know, your Rupture is solid. Um, Crimson Tempest wasn't very good on the dummy, but I found it was quite good in Arena. Yeah, this is Assassination Rogue. I think it's pretty awesome still. Plays very much like it does on retail, but it has a much better class tree in my opinion. Especially going the deeper stratagem route where you can get much longer kidney shots. You know, getting some extra haste from Alacrity. Really kind of playing this as a PvE class that, you know, every Vanish, every Subterfuge window, you're going to try to line that up with you know, stun DRs so that you can kidney shot either the healer and cheap shot your kill target, or cheap shot healer into kidney on the kill and, you know, send it. You know, then obviously like following up with a blind on the healer. And if you have multiple trinkets, right? Kidney the healer, cheap kill target, and a smoke bomb, chain cheap shots, and send them home early. So that's Assassination Rogue. I think it's looking absolutely awesome in War Within. I wanted to make this video of the beta just to give rogues some hope, because I hear that you know, rogues are down in the dumps, but I gotta say Assassination Rogue looks awesome. I played it last night, and it was so fun that it essentially, you know, made me create the first video that I've made in a very long time. So thank you guys for watching the channel. You know, continue to like, subscribe. Maybe I'll make some videos again in the future. That's it. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. Tomato sauce and out. Assassination Rogues absolutely in the War Within beta.